West Coast bias. I got Shams in studio today, and I'm taking advantage of it. We got the Warriors. They're one of the great dynasties in NBA history, and we have seen it start to come to an end. We've seen Klay Thompson depart, and now we're waiting on word on Steve Kerr. What up to the minute is the latest on him?
Greeny, so Steve Kerr met with Joe Lacob and Mike Dunleavy Jr. for 2 hours on Monday to figure out whether he's going to continue after 12 years as head coach of that team. There's no resolution quite yet. The sides will reconvene next week, but two things were made clear in that meeting, sources told me. One, Steve Kerr wants to be back as head coach, and two, the Warriors want him back as head coach. But there are different layers and dynamics to all this, and both sides are trying to look at this best for the Warriors' long-term perspective. What's best interest of that franchise moving forward, and that means basketball decisions around this organization. What's the roster going to look like? What's the staff going to look like? What are the internal dynamics that make sense for both sides to move forward here? It's been a lot, and we know Jimmy Butler's out, Moses Moody's out. This roster has a lot of concerns and issues going into this offseason. So my understanding is Steve Kerr is now on a golf trip. He's going to clear his mind. Sides will reconvene next week.
Okay, outstanding, up to the minute. Windman, jump in here with me on this. How about the Warriors and Kerr and that franchise? They've been one of the really glamorous franchises in all of sports for the last decade or more. And now they've got Steve Kerr sort of with a decision hovering, and Steph Curry obviously still playing unbelievably well, but getting older. What is your sense of the future in Golden State?
Yeah, obviously, Kerr is a big factor that's hanging over the team, but their number one issue is dealing with the roster. They were in 10th place for a reason this year. At midseason, they made an aggressive offer for Giannis Antetokounmpo, which was included a bunch of draft picks and one of their high salary players, and it sure sounded like it was going to be Draymond Green. So the question that you ask yourself is, what do they do with their roster this summer? Now, Steph Curry came out at the end of the season and said he doesn't view next year as his last year. He wants to play multiple more seasons. He might even talk about having a contract extension. This is not going to be the swan song for Steph next year. So they need to maybe look at something with their roster. They have a big free agent in Kristaps Porzingis. Do they re-sign him? Do they look to sign and trade him? And do they revisit a Giannis Antetokounmpo situation if he comes back on the market? So there may be a lot of big decisions. Steve Kerr's only one.
Yeah, for sure. When it comes to Steve, we were talking about this in our post-show meeting the other day. There have been very few people in the entire history of the game of basketball who've done as much high-level winning as Steve Kerr has. He won 5 championships as a player. He's won 4 NBA championships as a coach and a gold medal as the head coach of the Olympic team. Steve Kerr has had one of the great basketball careers of all time. But the future of the Warriors is really the interesting part, and Steph is the center of it. I'm fascinated by him bringing up Giannis there. I'm not going to ask you to guess what's going to happen. But the way things ended in Milwaukee, it certainly felt like there was a good chance Giannis was going to be moving forward. Is this one of the places that we'll be keeping a close eye on?
The Warriors, no doubt. There's going to be many teams if Giannis Antetokounmpo, and when the Bucks start engaging this offseason, but Minnesota, Miami, you think about a team like New York, you think about the Golden State Warriors, but there were other offers that the Bucks considered seriously, one being the Miami Heat's offer at the deadline. My understanding was, and I reported on this at the end of the Bucks season, Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, multiple draft picks, swaps, seconds, other young players. That was an offer that the Bucks did take seriously down to the NBA trade deadline on February 5th. No deal happened. But the Warriors have an interesting decision because if you're going to move your draft picks, because you don't really have the players, the high-end players to go make a player-for-player deal, you're going to use your draft picks. You have to find a star player that aligns with the future. You can't just take a swing at maybe an aging-type star.
Yeah, Steph at the end here, but as Wendy points out, he doesn't look like he's that close to the end. Listen, the basketball fan in me wants to see Steph back on the big stage one more time. I would love to see him with a team.
I need Shams to report on where the golf trip is. That's what I'm fascinated on.
Where's he? Do you know where he's playing?
I believe I don't want to speculate.
Okay.
I don't want to speculate.
All right, so you got my number,
I think I know. I think I know. I'll send you a text on the side.
That'll get aggregated. That'll get aggregated. The next thing you know, Shams says that Steve Kerr is.
Dub Nation, let me ask you something. What if the move the Warriors really need is not the loudest name, not the most chaotic blockbuster, not the player that breaks the internet for 48 hours, but the one who quietly fixes half the roster problems the second he walks into the building? Because that is why Lauri Markkanen is so interesting. Seriously, think about it. 7 feet tall, elite shooter for his size, can run the floor, can score without pounding the air out of the ball, and most importantly, he actually fits next to Stephen Curry instead of forcing the whole offense to change around him. That's the part that makes this so intriguing. The Warriors' biggest issue over the last couple seasons has not just been talent, it has been lineup balance. Too many nights where the floor shrinks, too many nights where Steph has to generate everything, too many nights where Golden State looks one big scoring forward away from being a real problem. And Lauri, he checks that box immediately. Reuters highlighted in January that Markkanen dropped 35 on Golden State in a Jazz loss, reminding everyone just how dangerous he still is as a scorer. He can stretch the floor, punish mismatches, and score without needing 25 dribbles to get there. Now picture the fit. Steph warping the defense from 30 feet, Draymond handling the short roll decisions, and Markkanen spacing above the break or cutting into open gaps when the defense bends. That's nasty basketball. That's clean basketball. That's the kind of fit where the defense can't just send 2 guys at Curry and live with the consequences anymore. Because if you help too hard, Lauri is standing there ready to bury you. If you switch smaller defenders onto him, he shoots over them. If you chase him too aggressively, he's moving into open space before you recover. And the other thing I love about this idea, it doesn't require Lauri to become somebody he's not. He doesn't have to be the franchise face. He doesn't have to be the emotional leader. He doesn't have to carry the whole culture. In Golden State, he would be asked to do what he already does well: score efficiently, play big, keep the floor open, and make life easier for the stars. That's why this move feels so rational, not flashy for the sake of being flashy, just smart. Now, do the Warriors actually have enough to get it done? That's the hard part. Utah is Utah. Danny Ainge does not do discounts. If Golden State wants Lauri, it would likely cost real draft capital plus 1 or 2 young rotation pieces. And that's where the front office has to ask the real question. Is Markkanen enough of a difference maker to justify that kind of push? My answer? If the price stays below the absolute nuclear range, yes. Because this isn't about finding a random scorer. It's about finding a clean basketball fit for the final prime years of Steph Curry. And here's the favorable truth for Warriors fans. Lauri is one of the few star-level players who could raise the Warriors' ceiling without making the whole thing feel awkward. That matters a lot. So now I want to hear from you, Dub Nation. Would you rather Golden State chase the giant blockbuster or make the smarter fit move and go get Lauri Markkanen? Drop your take in the comments. Hit like and subscribe, because this offseason is going to tell us exactly how serious the Warriors are about maximizing what's left of the Curry era.